Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Pokemon Pocket video for you. This deck profile, we're going to be covering our first Dialga build. I do have a couple in mind I want to try, but figured I would start off with the pretty basic build here. We've got 2 Meltan, 2 Melmetal, 2 Dialga EX, 1 Mew EX, 1 Potion, 2 X Speed, 2 Pokeball, 2 Giant Cape, 2 Professor's Research, 1 Cyrus, 2 Dawn, 1 Leaf. So yeah, the idea of this build obviously is that we're using Dialga to ramp up the Melmetal on our bench with Metallic Turbo. When the pack first came out, when we first saw the spoilers in that video review, I was talking about how Melmetal was a potential strategy, but that I thought the colorless strategies might be a bit better. I think I actually did underestimate Melmetal a little bit. The 120 damage off its attack is actually very impressive, and of course with Dialga's Metallic Turbo, it's not that difficult to get there. So the thing, I guess, that is a little bit tricky about this deck is the fact that Metallic Turbo itself does require 2 steel energy. So we are not necessarily getting going as fast as a lot of other energy ramp decks might. I guess, to be fair, we're not that much slower than something like Mewtwo, although, again, we do have a bit less of a payoff, but we're also a little bit more flexible. Dawn is a pretty important card in this deck. A lot of the time, you're going to be transferring your metal energy, I'll probably call it steel intermittently, your metal energy around to make your attacks work after retreating and such. I think, actually, one of the bigger weaknesses of this deck is that despite being a big energy ramp deck, the max amount of energy it can deal is, of course, Melmetal's Heavy Impact, I think the attack is called, at 120 damage. You know, again, compared to stuff like Gyarados and Mewtwo and Charizard, which have higher damage outputs, you know, we're not necessarily any faster than them and we're dealing less damage. I think that's one of the big drawbacks of the deck. Now, I was talking about this being one of a potential few Dialga variants. I know that Dialga Yanmega has been a thing as well. I do want to try that variant at some point too, but I'm also planning on trying Yanmega in another deck that I think is probably going to be one of the next ones that I put up here on the channel, so we'll be seeing that one too. Yeah, our opponent here is on Gengar. They led with the Mew. Looks like they're starting to ramp up their Ghastly line on the bench there, but yeah, this genome hacking is going to be pretty annoying, dealing 100 damage by copying the, what is the name? Is it also Heavy Impact for Dialga EX? I think it is, actually. But we managed to evolve into the Melmetal, and this is an example of the Dawn card actually coming up in handy. Dawn is a supporter from the new set that lets you move an energy from one of your bench Pokemon to one of your active. So what you can do is use at least one, although here in our case we actually have 2. We can use X Speed to get Dialga out of the active slot while still keeping at least 1 metal energy on it. After attaching our metal energy for a turn onto Melmetal, now we can use the Dawn in order to move a metal from Dialga to Melmetal. So I think Dawn is actually going to be a very impactful card for specific strategies. It's not the kind of card that every single deck wants to be playing necessarily, but there are a lot of strategies like this one that really benefit from it. Managed to knock out our opponent's Mew. We have our Melmetal up. Our opponent's got their Haunter in play. And we're in a really good spot here. Even if they evolve into Gengar, they're not anywhere near set up to be able to start attacking with it. And we're at a point where not being able to use supporters doesn't really affect us anymore. So, all right, they're going for another Mythical Slab and whiffing. I think they're struggling to find their Gengar at this point. And yeah, they're going to concede here. Looks like they were not able to find it in time. So, all right, taking that dub with our build here. Yeah, I don't know if the Yanmega build is necessarily much better than the Melmetal build. They both deal 120. In theory, the Yanmega can get out a little bit sooner because it only costs 3 energy instead of 4. You don't necessarily need to have Dawn like we did in that situation there. But the upside of the Melmetal is that it's a lot bulkier because of its ability, of course. Yeah, I'm still thinking about which I think is actually better here. Well, I haven't tried the Yanmega yet, to be fair, but Anyway, our next opponent's going to be on Marshadow aggro. I will say this, whenever we get another good Metal EX Pokemon, definitely keep your eyes out on this deck. I think that's really what Dialga needs more than anything else, is a good target. Like, there were a lot of Metal Pokemon in the set, and they're not all bad, but they're not actually that great with Dialga. I've seen, like, Bastiodon builds that have performed well in tournaments that are not even playing Dialga, that are using, like, Skarmory, I think, as an additional attacker as well. But, yeah, so I think if we get another good Metal EX, especially one that has, like, a big ramp-up attack, then, like, or like a big energy attack, like a big damage, high energy, then yeah, I think Dialga will be right at home in that deck. Again, it's something I was a little bit afraid of, you know, when I was talking about the Dialga when we saw it in the preview video, is like the fact that Wigglytuff and Mew at the time of release felt like the best targets. Now we have, you know, Yanmega at least, but again, I slightly underestimated Melmetal, but only very slightly, honestly. Like, it's a little better than I thought it would be, this deck, but not, like, a ton better. Alright, so they're going for Pokemon Communication. That almost makes me wonder if they're on Aerodactyl, and they're putting back, like, an Aerodactyl or a Primeape here. I guess it could be on Lucario as well. I actually kind of want to pull one of those, because I really want to try it in some fighting decks. I've pulled one full art so far, but no regular ones. Okay, so they're going to retreat their Farfetch'd for the Hitmonlee. And I think at this point they intended to start hitting the Melton. But I also think that my opponent might not have had the best connection. Because from what I remember, they actually end up being a little bit AFK here. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that I guess the gist of what I'm saying here with this deck is that I don't think that it's bad. I just don't know if it's as good as some of the other strategies we've been seeing. I think for the time being, this is probably going to end up being a pretty solid, like, Tier 3 deck. Maybe, like, upper Tier 3, maybe lower Tier 2, but I think it's probably going to land upper Tier 3. Yeah, they end up hitting the Mew instead of the Melton here. It wouldn't really matter even if they hit Melton. I could just evolve into Melmetal and even throw on the Giantscape, so... But I imagine they intended to hit that one. Yeah, I think, again, that Dialga is really solid. It just lacks a really good target to turbo onto. More than anything else. Speaking of Skarmory, you can definitely play Skarmory in this build. I've seen builds that are on it. I theorized maybe playing Heatran as like a... It's got 120 HP, so it's not a bad body to start and maybe stall with. It's got a... I think it's 3 energy attack that deals like 100 damage when you have to like remove one of your energies or something like that, which is not bad for a basic. It's not great, but it's not bad. If you really want more Pokemon in this deck, I don't know, I was thinking about that though, and I was like, is that really any better than Mew? I feel like having access to the option of genome hacking is definitely better. Yeah, it looks like this opponent is AFK. Although, to be fair, we were looking like we're just going to get our standard setup here anyway. We even have Dawn X-Speed, that combo, in our hand, right? So, our Melmetal, it was actually ready to go on the next turn and start attacking people. That's, yeah, it's people. It's like in the streets. No! No, just start attacking their Pokemon. But yeah, that's like X-Speed Dawn is a very important combo to have. Just getting your stuff online one turn sooner. Alright, our final opponent here is going to be on Pidgeot. But also, again, that's why I think Yanmega might be better, because you don't need X-Speed plus Dawn, in that case, start hitting for 120 on the next turn. Like, if you have Dialga with 2 Metal on the active, and then Yanmega in the bench, you Metallic Turbo, put 2 Metal energy on Yanmega. You could even just retreat for 2 with Dialga, put in Yanmega, attach your energy for a turn, and then start attacking. Again, without the need for X-Speed plus Dawn. Which is why I suspect that might be better, but we'll see. I've seen both builds have tournament success. The Melmetal builds are a little more popular, but I almost wonder if that's because that's the quote-unquote obvious strategy, and also the cheaper one. You know, we're only, at the time of recording this, it's been, like 3 days since the pack has come out. Like 72 hours, so it's reasonable to think that maybe a lot of people participating don't necessarily have 2 Dialga and 2 Yanmega just yet. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think how I feel about this deck in the long term. I kind of feel like, or more, I guess, the Melmetal part. I could easily see a world where Melmetal starts to get kind of like phased out of the deck in favor of colorless attackers. I don't think Licky Licky is the way, honestly. I mean, I know that was something that like people were talking about when the pack very first dropped, but I don't think, like, if you're gonna play Licky Licky, you might as well just play Melmetal at that point. I mean, Licky Licky has higher potential damage output, but it's not like, it's not that much more. it's not enough more, I think, that it's worth having the ability of Melmetal. Because Licky Licky, I guess if it had like one, actually I don't know how much HP it has. I'm trying to think of how much HP it would have to have to be better than Melmetal. 190 would definitely make it better. I don't think it's that high. I think it's 170, which is like, compared to Melmetal's 130 plus ability. The thing about Melmetal, though's ability, I haven't even touched on this yet, is that between Darkrai especially, but also Druddigons and Rocky Helmets and Greninjas, like, you're taking a lot of damage that's not from attacks. So the ability is honestly a lot less relevant than you might actually think. Not like it's irrelevant, of course, but you'll find yourself dying to a lot of attacks that you would have anyway because of the damage from abilities that you're taking. Alright, so I was going to start setting up my second Dialga, but we managed to draw a Meltan, so I'm going to start setting that up with Metallic Turbo instead. Yeah, our opponent's been setting up the Pidgeotos on the bench there, while keeping the Mew out basically as a body to stall with. So we'll evolve, and we have a Dawn. Oh, you know what? Since we have energy on the Dialga in our bench, we can actually just Dawn and swap from that one. So I'll pay the 4 tree cost for the active Dialga. Then we'll throw on a Giantscape to the Melmetal, because why not? Attach our energy for a turn, and then, again, Dawn is such a good card in this build. Being able to pull the energy from the bench onto the active slot. Now we can KO the Mew with heavy impact. And there we go. I guess it would be pretty annoying if our opponent put in a Pidgeot EX here. I shouldn't have filled up my bench. That's a pretty bad habit I have, is filling my bench up for no reason. And especially even when I know I'm up against Pidgeot, I just do it anyway. But there we go. We won. So thanks for checking out this deck profile. We still got many to come from the new set, so if you want to check out more, feel free to subscribe, and I appreciate you for doing so. This is Hexlex. I am signing out, and also hoping that you have a fantastic day.